Postgres and MySQL. All right, how many of you guys, okay, it's a small crowd today. Well, first of all, good morning. My name is Xiao. I am the Senior Program Manager in Database Migration team. So it's a small crowd today. I can actually ask a little bit more, question to you guys. How many of you guys have experience with Postgres or MySQL? 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 Yeah, okay. Postgres? Okay. One odd, one out. Okay. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about database migration service. Right? We announced GA Monday in Rohan Kumar, who is the CVP for the data platform session. So we announced general availability for database migration service, which by the name, what it means is actually help you to do database migration from on-premise to Azure. Now today you can actually use the service to do SQL Server on-prem to SQL database, from SQL Server to SQL managed instance, right? We have been working on adding 2 new open source database engine in the migration scenario, which is Postgres and MySQL, right? That is also because Microsoft also introduced it's also GA right now. It's a fully managed PaaS service, Azure database for Postgres and also MySQL. So I think it's actually making sense for the entire migration service to also help customers to move the database from Postgres, either you have an on-prem or VM-based Postgres, to Azure Postgres, or MySQL on-prem to Azure MySQL, right? Now, we're going to talk about, on top of that, there is another exciting feature that we like you to try, which is actually minimum downtime. What it means is it will actually continuously sync the data from on-premise to Azure without having you put your application down, right? We know that in a typical migration scenario, you're going to put your application into like a maintenance mode, DB into read-only mode for days, for the entire weekend, just to do a backup and restore. A lot of customers ask us that I cannot really tolerate that long of a downtime, right? Can you do something about that? So this is the feature that we like to introduce to our customers, which is migration with minimum downtime. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit deeper later. Right? Migration at scale. Most of the time when you guys actually use desktop tools, for example, database migration assistance, SQL Server migration assistance, PG dumps, MySQL dump, you do one database at a time. You can script it, right? But you still need to monitor one database at a time for it to complete the migration. Then you go on and monitor the next database. Database migration service enable you to actually select a few databases at a time and just migrate them, right? DMS has inbuilt resiliency and also robustness that actually move your database in a parallel processing fashion. You don't need to move one database at a time, right? Now, with all the time free up, we actually believe that the customers, the dev team, the DBA team can actually optimize the time to optimize the application rather than spending time in migration itself. Right? Now, you guys going to ask me, hey, what does really minimum downtime means? Where is the minimum come from, right? Why is it not 0? Where is the minimum downtime coming from? Now, I'm going to illustrate in a workflow. It's actually simpler to actually explain it in a workflow. Now, if I have let's say, a retail website, right? If I use database migration service, what it does right now is constantly replicating from the source, right, and to the cloud, right? And my application still stays up, right? There's still live database, live transactions coming in. I'm taking orders. I'm not putting my application down. So what it does under the hood is DMS will actually do initial load. What we call initial load is just, first time do the data sync from the source to the target, right? Then after that, as the new transaction coming in, I'm just going to replicate it over, right? It's a continuous sync movement from the source to the target, right? Now, let's say during the time when the data is all caught up, I need to do a cutover, I need to do a migration. What do? I actually stop the new traffic coming in into my application. That means I'm putting my application into downtime. Now, this is a very brief moment of downtime because all the initial load and all the data has been catching up. I am just putting my application into maintenance mode for a few minutes to stop the new transaction coming in. I wait for the data to catch up in the target. Target means Azure, right? Now then I complete the entire database migration. Now at that point, my database, it's done. It's already caught up in Azure. Then what do? I will just go to my app and update the connection string and point to Azure, right? And at that point, I'm going to bring back my application live, and it will actually point to the Azure, right? So my application is now live on Azure. Right? So this is what we mean by minimum downtime. Now this is a huge difference compared to when you actually have to put your database into read-only mode or your application down since the beginning of the entire migration, right? We're actually talking about minutes of downtime versus days or entire weekends of downtime. Now let's actually do this in a real demo. So Wednesday, last day of the conference, I need you guys to be a little bit energetic. Let's actually vote. Who wants to actually see a MySQL migration? Postgres? One. All right, so I'm going to show MySQL first. If I have time, then I'll circle back and show my... I'm going to show MySQL first. I'm going to circle back to show Postgres if I have time. Yeah? Sounds good? All right. I am going to flip over to my VM right here. Okay. Why are you disconnecting me? Okay, let's do that. All right, there we go. Okay, I don't need to update now. Go away. Go away. All right, there we go. Now, let's say I have, same thing, I have a retail store that actually built on MySQL. So this is the retail store that I have. And it's actually running on localhost. I can actually connect to it right now, right? Yay, okay. So I'm a Star Wars fan, so part-time I'm actually selling some Star Wars items, yeah? So you can see that, hey, here we have some retail store right now. It has some orders already, right? So, and this is, you can see, it's actually running on localhost. Now, I'm going to start my migration pipeline. So for you guys who haven't seen the database migration service on Azure, this is how it looks like on the portal, right? Now, you can see, I talk a little bit about my multiple different SQL Server or Oracle. You can see I can have multiple projects running here in one service. I can have a MySQL migration. I have an Oracle migration. I can do a SQL to SQL DB. I can do a SQL to manage instance, right? I can do multiple different migration in one single service, right? Now, today I'm going to use this MySQL right here, right? Now, let me actually, this is what I'm going to do to start the pipeline, what we call starting the migration pipeline, right? So this is all, you can do it in the portal today. What you do right now is, I already set up my source, right? This is my source connection string, which you can tell is actually this VM IP, yeah? So I'm going to just connect to it. Da-da-da. You should connect. Yes. Yay. Okay. Now I'm going to connect to my target. Now what is my target? You can see from this connection string right here, it's actually saying Azure. Now at this point, well, we need you to do a little bit of homework. That means you need to pre-provision an instance in Azure already and know about the connection string. Yeah? And then you come in and actually put it in here. Right? I should connect. Now this is the step that I just talked about. If you show me my databases, come on, you can do it. Yes? No? Yay, there we go. Okay, now here's the thing that I just talked about. You can actually select multiple databases and just run it together right now, right? Now, we know that when actually customers moving the application, they have multiple databases to move at the same time. You don't do it one at a time, right? So we actually enable you to do that right now. So, but for today, I'm going to move my Star Wars inventory. That's it, right? So I'm going to save this. I'm going to check the summary and make sure that it's all correct in my connection string. I'm going to say, hey, do run now, right? So what it does right now, it's already in the pipeline. It's already initializing the database migration pipeline. Right? See, it's actually initializing. Right? Now, let's actually do something fun. I am going to live insert some rows, and what I meant earlier on is continuous thing. It should replicate over, right? If it's actually the migration pipeline is working. Now let's do that. Now this is where I pray to the demo god that it will work. Okay, we'll see. Let me bring up the second command line right here, right? All right, I have two. This is PG. This is MySQL. Correct. No. Okay. I'm going to do these two windows right here. One is actually selecting from the source, which is my on-prem. This is actually selecting from the target. I'm going to show you the target first and see what is in the database already. Now remember, the pipeline has already been started, right? This is not the one that I want. This is actually Postgres. I'm going to show you a little bit another one later on, right? This is MySQL. Yep. Now see, what it does right now, it's already doing the initial load. It's done. There's like 35 rows in the target already, which is in Azure, right? Now let me do something fun. I'm going to live injecting some orders into the database, right? And then see whether it will actually replicate over. Yes, I'm creating the 36. Creating the 36, I am flipping over here and see whether it's actually catching up, yeah? Why are you freezing? All right, it's a little bit better. Okay, we'll see whether the orders get replicated. Now you can see, it's actually jumped to 36 because what our query do is actually do the top one, right? So it's actually showing the latest one coming in, right? So that means the database migration pipeline is actually working right now to continuously receiving your traffic coming in or going into the Azure site, right? So now let's simulate and say that, hey, this is my migration day. This is like the 11:59 hours that I need to do a cutover. Now the next step, the last step that I was actually explaining in the workflow is you stop the traffic from coming in, right? So let me simulate that and say that, hey, I'm stopping the traffic coming in. I am waiting for the data to actually catch over, right? So it's already like caught up. 47, I have 47, right? I'm good. So what I do right now is I will just go back to my my retail store website, and I'm saying that, hey, I'm going to do a cutover. Now what do I do here? I will just put in the Azure connection string, and for the database to actually, for the application to connect to the database, right? So this is my target connection string right here. All right, I'm just going to say, hey, put my connection string, and this is my user ID, and then this is my password. Now, what was the latest order coming in? 47-ish? Yeah. Right, let's see. Why is everything so slow today? Let me refresh again. All right, let's try again. There we go. Okay, where's my 47? Yes? Yeah, so it's there. Okay, now that means, again, what I've shown you guys is actually my database never goes down for a brief moment of time, right, to stop the new traffic coming in. The database migration pipeline has been always running to actually catch up the data. Now, this is actually tremendously helpful if you have a database size that is what, like 100 gig, 250 gig, 1 terabyte. So what you will do is actually let this pipeline run weeks ahead or 2 weeks ahead for the data to actually catch up, right? And during migration day, there's no code change. You actually just stop the traffic from coming in into the application and change the connection string. Now, at this time, your app is actually live on Azure, right? This is the MySQL one. Now, I promised the gentleman right there to actually show the Postgres as well. Do I have time? Okay, I have 4 minutes. Now, it's a very similar concept. So what I do, a little bit differently, I can also use the PowerShell to actually submit the command to do the same thing. Now, I've shown you the portal experience before, right? To actually do this, you can actually set it up in the portal. You can also do it in PowerShell, right? I'm going to show you, I'm not going to run the entire command, so I'm just going to show you, this is what I do. So this is the service name that you actually, if you set it up in, you can also set up the entire thing in PowerShell. This is the same thing that I actually did in the portal right there. I grabbed the parameter of the service name, the project name. I gave it a new task name, right? This is my target Postgres server, yeah? And this is my on-prem Postgres server. And then I will just launch this activity and let it run. It's the same concept. So it will just actually keep replicating from the source to the target. All right, that's all my demo today. Any questions so far? I think we have like a couple minutes. I can actually take question. Yeah?
Once you've done the cutover, do you have to stop the migration service? Is there a stop?
You can, yes. I can actually come back to here. I can show you the entire portal experience, right? So right now it's actually initializing. It was running, right? If I click in a little bit details here, you can actually see the full load was completed, right? And there were some roles coming in the sink, right, over here. Now what I do right here is I say that, hey, my database is looking good. It's the data caught up, right? When you actually stop your traffic coming in, I will just do this cutover. So what cutover means is that I am saying that, hey, migration service, please stop syncing now. You're done, right? Put my the project into a completion. And I do this cutover, and then I will just say apply, and then that's it. From the pipeline standpoint, the database migration pipeline, you are done. You're completed. Yes, yeah. Any other questions? Right, so this Postgres and also MySQL are not GA yet. They are private preview. That means we're actually taking nomination from the customers. If you have any Postgres workload or MySQL workload, if you're working with customers, we love to work with you. And then you can actually give us feedback on this feature, what other capabilities that you want. You can influence a lot on the engineering design, right? So if you, let me show the sign up page. If you come here, which is aka.msdms preview page, there's a form right there and say that, give me your, let me put this into PowerPoint mode, right? Okay, yeah, you just, You don't need, okay. Yeah, so you could just give me your contact number, where is your MySQL hosted, for example, whether it's actually in RDS or on-prem or things like that. Then I will contact you, and then we can actually set this up. I just need to onboard your subscription to use this service. Right?
So would you be able to, say it was in AWS and wanted to move over to Azure, you guys be able to handle that too?
Yeah, it depends on the scenario. Yes, yeah, we can. Yeah. Right. But most of the customers that actually we talk to, they actually still have their, let's say, for example, Postgres on a VM base. Yeah, so that definitely we can do that. Right. Yeah? Cool? Yes. Thank you very much for your time today.